single dad found a mail-order bride with 7 kids at his door and discovered the family he never had. He opened the door, expecting silence. Instead, he found winter and something far colder. A woman stood there trembling, not from the Montana chill alone, but from the weight of everything she carried to this doorstep. Behind her, 7 children stared up at him, not with fear, not with pity, but with that strange, soft hunger you only see in the eyes of the displaced. Not one tear, not one word, just a silence that roared louder than any storm. Before we begin this remarkable true-to-the-heart story, if you believe in second chances, quiet miracles, and the healing power of love, consider subscribing. We tell stories that stay with you long after the last word. Now, let's begin. The farmhouse had leaned into the hillside for over 100 years, weathered by wind, snow, and now grief. Daniel Crane had inherited the house after his father's death, but he never truly lived in it until after Caleb died. A single crash, one slippery street, a lifetime fractured into seconds. 3 years had passed, but time didn't move in that house. It sat still, wrapped in a quilt of old habits and unspoken things. Daniel's world had shrunk to predictable routines. One coffee, one plate set, one empty chair left untouched. The blue won. Caleb's. Outside, the wind had begun to rise. Daniel pulled on his flannel and opened the door. He expected nothing. Instead, life walked in. She didn't smile when she asked, "Are you Mr. Crane?" Her voice carried an accent, soft but unsure, like it had traveled far to get here. Daniel nodded, unsure if he was lying. He was Daniel Crane. But the man she was looking for, the man she had crossed miles to meet, was his brother, Matthew, gone 3 months now. Cancer doesn't wait. Her name was Clara, and she hadn't come alone. 7 children, some clutching one another, one with shoes 2 sizes too big, one with none. The oldest girl had eyes like she'd seen war, and maybe she had. Daniel had no map for this moment, only a porch full of strangers and a dead brother's handwriting on the envelope Clara offered. He didn't read it. He didn't need to. The look on her face said everything. Daniel offered the barn, dry with hay, a lantern, quilts. That night, his house stayed cold but not silent. He heard a baby cry through the wind, and a lullaby he didn't understand. He set 2 plates like he always did, but something had shifted. The blue chair caught his eye. He didn't move it, but he looked at it for longer than usual. By morning, snow had dusted the porch like powdered sugar, and the sky threatened more. Daniel stood by the window, cradling his coffee like a weapon. Restlessness had taken root in his bones. He walked to the barn. Inside, Clara had already made order from nothing. Children folded blankets. One braided hair. The boy with the duct-taped suitcase was sweeping straw into corners. He brought food, then firewood. Then, without understanding why, he brought them inside. He told himself it was a storm, the forecast, a practical decision. But the lie didn't stick. That night, the baby cried again. Clara sat in the living room, eyes tired but soft. Daniel lingered in the doorway, watching the fire more than her. "I'm sorry," she said. He shook his head. "You didn't ruin anything. It was already ruined." Days passed, then weeks. The children, they didn't just survive. They rooted. They brought drawings, taped the pantry door. They brought cinnamon and laughter. They brought life back into the walls. Daniel entered the garage again, first for a heater, then for a memory, a sketchbook, Caleb's. He opened it. Robot arms, rocket shoes, a garage turned into a launch pad, dreams drawn in crayon and hope. Daniel hadn't felt anything that alive in 3 years. That night, he sat at the table and ate lentil soup. It tasted like belonging. The little girl with curls asked if he was a cowboy. He almost cried. On the 3rd day, the snow stopped. Inside, Clara moved with the quiet command of someone who'd kept things alive through worse. The children played with beans and plastic cups. The house exhaled. Daniel stood in the hallway, watching. "You don't have to do this," he said. "I know," Clara replied, "but it's what home needs." He blinked. The word hit different. Later, He found her in the garage, holding a lunchbox. "I went into his room," she whispered, "the one with the yellow walls." Daniel didn't get angry. He couldn't. She handed him the box. Caleb's stickers still clung to the plastic. That night, he held the sketchbook. Last page, a drawing of kids laughing in a garage. Underneath, scrawled in block letters, "My dad fixes everything." Daniel closed the book, then opened the garage. The light switch didn't work. He fixed it. It was the first thing he fixed in 3 years. He found tools, prototypes, grease, and memory. Clara found him there the next morning. She didn't say much, just handed him coffee. He told her about a brace, one that could grow with a child. "You are now," she said. Later, he brought it to the boy with the limp. "Jacob." He walked across the floor. Didn't fall. Clara smiled. "You're not who you were." Neither was she. Then came the knock. Child Protective Services. An anonymous tip. He told Clara at night, voice cracking. She said she expected it. He paced, then filled out paperwork. Desperate words in desperate handwriting. Cynthia Brooks arrived the next morning. Clipboard. Sharp eyes. She looked, listened, judged. "This isn't legal," she said. "But it's a home," Daniel answered. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. Clara found a letter weeks later. From Matthew. He asked Daniel not to turn them away. He asked him to believe. Daniel did. But then the letters came. Anonymous. Accusing. Whispering doubt. Clara sat beside him on the porch. Told him her story. The war. The orphan trains. The children no one wanted. "I didn't steal them," she said. "I saved them." He believed her. He wrote a letter to a friend, a lawyer. "Help us." He finished the brace, gave it to Jacob, watched him run. News spread. Other children came. He built devices. For free. The garage became a miracle. Clara became legal. The children laughed. Drew robots and cowboys. The house breathed. One night, Daniel dropped to one knee. Asked. She said yes. The fair came. He won. Innovation of the year. But that wasn't the real prize. He came home to laughter, to drawings on walls, to a chair that no longer held ghosts, a blue chair with a child and a future. But just as peace settled, Daniel checked the mailbox. Another letter, different handwriting. This one had a name, a man from Clara's past, one Daniel hadn't heard of, claiming to be the true father of one of the children, saying he was coming, and he wasn't coming alone. The man arrived at dusk. A gray sedan with out-of-state plates pulled into the gravel driveway like it belonged. Dust followed it, thick and unsettled. Clara saw from the kitchen window as she was rinsing flour from her hands, and something in her posture shifted. Shoulders pulled tight, jaw clenched, breath held hostage. Daniel stepped out first. He felt it before he saw it. That sensation of something old creeping into the present like a draft from a door left ajar. The man who emerged was tall, angular, and too calm. His suit was creased, his face unshaven. In his hand, a leather folder. Daniel met him halfway. "You Daniel Crane?" "I am." "Name's Victor. I came for my daughter." Daniel didn't answer. Clara stood in the doorway now, the baby on her hip, her face unreadable. Victor didn't flinch. He looked past Daniel to Clara. "Sasha is mine. She always was. You knew I'd find you." Clara didn't blink. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Daniel's voice was gravel. "You have proof." Victor smiled like a man who played long games. He lifted the folder, opened it. Inside, photos, documents, court papers. Daniel couldn't read them from a distance, but Clara could. She stepped forward. The world tilted. Inside the folder, among the faded stamps and legal jargon, was a photo. Sasha, smaller, younger, clinging to Clara, and Victor, holding Sasha's hand, smiling. "I didn't think you'd come for her," Clara whispered. "She's mine, and I'm not leaving without her." Sasha appeared then, drawn by voices, her feet bare, her braids uneven. She looked from Victor to Clara, then to Daniel. "Who is he?" Silence cracked the moment open. Daniel knelt. "Sasha, sweetheart, go back inside." But she didn't. She walked forward. "Do I know you?" she asked Victor. He crouched, smiled. "You will. I'm your papa." She blinked, then shook her head. "My papa is in heaven. My family is here." Daniel saw it then, the flicker in Victor's eyes. Not love, not loss, possession. Clara stepped forward, placing herself between Victor and Sasha. "You left. Years ago. You signed away rights in Ukraine." Victor smirked. "That was then. This is America. Things change." Daniel knew what was coming. A court battle, a media storm, and maybe worse. He took Clara's hand. "We'll fight. Together." But Victor didn't come alone. From the car, another figure stepped out. A woman, well-dressed, sharp eyes, an immigration official. She approached with authority. "Badge, clipboard, Mr. Crane, Ms. Coraleno. We've received allegations of child concealment and fraudulent guardianship. I need you both to come with me. Now." The children watched from the window, eyes wide. Daniel turned, breath shallow. It was happening. Everything they built, now hanging by threads. Inside the house, the baby began to cry. Daniel didn't move. Not at first. The immigration officer's voice hung in the air like smoke. The badge she flashed bore weight, but it was the children's eyes pressed against the glass that truly fractured him. 7 faces, wide and afraid. One baby's cries rising behind them. And Clara, rigid, trembling, but defiant. He took Clara's hand, gripped it like the only truth left in the world. The officer repeated herself. "Please, cooperate. This can go smoothly." Victor crossed his arms, a smug curve rising at his mouth. He had delivered the final blow not just to reclaim a child, but to unravel everything Clara had built from nothing, from fire and war and ruin. Daniel didn't budge. He looked the woman square in the eyes. "You want to talk? Fine, but not in front of children." The officer hesitated, then nodded. Inside, the 3 of them entered the house, the one that had grown from silence into sanctuary. Daniel led them to the living room, past toys, past drawings, past the sketch of Caleb's garage flying like a rocket ship. They sat. Clara didn't. "I have nothing to hide," she said. The officer opened a file. "We've received reports questioning the legitimacy of your guardianship, specifically of a child named Sasha, along with claims of forward documentation in your residency case." Clara's breath caught. They were scared. I was scared. But I never lied to harm. I only did what I had to keep them safe. Daniel stepped in. "Victor abandoned Sasha. We have witness accounts." Clara raised her. "She's the only parent Sasha knows." Victor stood. "You're not even married." That was the Dagger. Clara's voice was barely a whisper. "We were going to, but we didn't rush. We didn't fake anything." The officer folded her hands. "Without legal guardianship or marriage, your position is tenuous." Daniel didn't flinch. "Then let's fix that. Right now." Silence. He turned to Clara, heart pounding. "I was going to wait. Until the chaos settled. Until the sun came out." He knelt beside her. "But you brought the sun. You always have." He pulled a small ring from his pocket. The same one he had planned to give her again when it was perfect. "This isn't about saving you. Or the kids. It's about choosing you. All of you. Every day. Will you marry me?" Tears spilled. She nodded. "Yes." The officer stood slowly. "That doesn't solve everything, but it does change some things." She left the room to make calls. Victor didn't. "She's still mine." He snapped. "No," Daniel said calmly. "She's not yours. You signed her away. You disappeared. You have no right. I have blood." Daniel didn't blink. "Then tell her the last book you read to her. Her favorite food. Her bedtime song. Go on. Tell her." Victor's mouth twitched. He said nothing. The officer returned 20 minutes later. "I've spoken to my superiors. With your affidavit, prior filing history, and now a legal engagement, I can place a hold on deportation. Temporarily, And Sasha, Daniel asked, that's for the family court to decide. But the child's preference will weigh heavily. The next day, a hearing was scheduled. The entire town rallied. Mrs. Lindell drove the van. Pastor Eugene testified. So did the therapist, and even the mayor. Clara didn't weep during the proceedings. She held Sasha's hand and smiled. When the judge asked who Sasha wished to live with, she pointed to Daniel and Clara without hesitation. They're my home. Victor stormed out before the ruling. Sasha stayed. Weeks passed. Then a month. The garage buzzed again. New families, new children, new laughter. Daniel and Clara were married in a small ceremony beneath the oak. The children stood in a semicircle, petals in hand. Clara wore a simple dress stitched by a neighbor. Daniel wore his father's watch. They exchanged vows not just to each other, but to the children. To build, Daniel said. To protect, to believe. Clara's vows were softer. To hold space for pain and still choose joy. The sky opened, not with rain, but sunlight. That night, they danced in the kitchen. No music, just footsteps and laughter. Daniel lifted the baby and twirled him like a planet. Sasha braided Clara's hair by firelight. There were no more empty chairs. That winter, Daniel filed nonprofit paperwork. The growth brace would be his life's work. The mission, to help children walk taller. Not just physically, but in spirit. And every design carried a signature etched into the metal. My dad fixes everything. Spring came, then summer. The farmhouse became legend. They never found out who sent the letters. Maybe a bitter heart, maybe just fear. But in the end, it didn't matter, because love had taken root. And love doesn't ask permission to grow. If this story moves something inside you, if you believe in second chances, in the quiet power of choosing love every day, then leave a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from. Share your own story. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Because here, we believe every soul deserves a place to be heard. You are welcome here. Always.